Thank you. We'll call the December 6, 2021 meeting of the Greenwood Board of Public Works and Safety to order at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please. Amanda?
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mr. Rutherford.
Here.
Thank you.
Minutes of regular session of November 15, 2021, our last meeting, have been distributed to members of the board. Any corrections, additions, or deletions from staff? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval as presented?
I'll move for approval. Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. First on our agenda tonight is Amy Iverson, 2404 Blackberry Court, Block 88. Ms. Iverson, are you with us online?
Yes, I am.
Good evening. We understand you're here for a fence encroachment request issue.
Yes.
Please tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so I just want to install a fence in my backyard. We got a dog and we have an easement on the very back end of our yard, which if I built the fence in towards my yard, not encroaching on the easement, it would just make my yard very small. So I have a few neighbors that also have fences in the same location. And yeah, I just want to build a fence.
Okay. Have you received a memo or seen a memo from Jeff Weaver of the engineering division with some proposed conditions that his office may be presenting to us?
No, I have not.
Well, there are some, the engineering division has made some recommendations to us, but there are some conditions, and I just kind of want to go over them with you to make certain that they're okay with you. The first one is that the fence be constructed to allow for adequate drainage. And if it's determined that a drainage issue has been created by your fence, then you as a property owner will be responsible to correct said drainage issue. You understand that to be the case?
Yes.
Okay. And that the fence be located no closer than 5 feet from the existing storm sewer. And if it's allowed to cross, no post shall be within 4 feet of the line. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you will notify the stormwater department following completion of the fence to make certain that they can come out and instruct how it's been, inspect how it's been constructed. And if it causes damage to that storm sewer, then again, that would be your responsibility to repair or replace the damaged portion of the storm sewer. Again, is that something you understand and agree with?
Yes.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. But one of the most important ones is that if there's any work that needs to be done within that easement that you've encroached upon, if it's necessary by any of the utilities or the city, then you would be responsible for removal and replacement of the fence at your expense. And you would hold the city or the utilities, whoever needs to get in there, harmless from any damage to your fence. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, the easy one, that you notify Indiana 811 prior to installing the encroachment so they can come out and mark any of the buried utilities.
Yeah.
You'll do that. Okay. Any questions for her? Yeah, you know anything different from that?
No.
Okay.
I move for approval.
Subject to those 5 conditions.
Yes. I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Iverson. Have a good evening.
You as well. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is John Jewers at 2537 East Main Street, University Place, Main Street self-storage expansion. John, are you with us?
Well, I tell you, if John's not there, this is Chris Hinkle. I am the site engineer associated with the project.
Okay, let's let you handle that then.
I guess so. The encroachment request that we're looking for is to be able to put our landscaping along Legacy Boulevard on the east side of the project within the existing 35-foot drainage and utility easement. And that's basically it.
Well, Chris, do you know have you received a copy of Jeff Weaver's recommendations to the board
I have not.
Okay, well, we'll go over them just quickly if we could.
Okay.
That the encroachment agreement is going to be prepared by our legal department and executed by the owner of the parcel and the Board of Works and be recorded by the owner of the parcel. The landscaping that is going to be installed should not disrupt the flow of the stormwater. And if any work needs to be done in the easement by utilities or the city, that the owner would be responsible for removal and replacement of any of those landscaping items at the owner's sole expense. And that prior to installation of those landscaping items that you would call Indiana 811, do you believe those are all acceptable to the owner?
They are.
Okay. Is there anything different from your office? Okay. Is there a motion for approval of this motion, this request, subject to the 4 conditions of the engineering division?
So moved. Second.
Thank you both. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Greg Ripple, Greenwood Springs Commercial Subdivision for Terrace site development. Greg, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Great, okay. Tell us what we're doing here.
All right. First, my name is Greg Ripple, Terrace Site Developments, here representing MHG Hotels and here in Patel. This is an encroachment request for a project we have coming through. It is a multifamily project and is located in the Greenwood Springs Commercial Subdivision. The actual request is a fairly small request, but it is encroaching into a variable drainage and utility easement along the northeast side of the site. The request would be to allow parking, landscaping, and potentially a light pole within the easement.
Questions for Greg? Greg, I'll ask you the same question. Have you received a memo from Jeff Weaver outlining 4 recommended conditions?
I don't believe that I have. I believe Karen is on. Karen, if you want to.
Yeah, I don't think we've received anything.
Okay, well, we'll just run through this real quick. That the encroachment agreement is going to be prepared by our legal department and executed by the owner and this board, and that the asphalt parking lot shall not disrupt the flow of stormwater. And if there's any work that needs to be done within that easement by any utilities or the city, that the owner be responsible for the removal and replacement of that asphalt parking lot at the owner's sole expense. And that before anything is constructed there, Indiana 811 is notified. Do you believe the owner has any concerns or problems with any of those proposed conditions?
No, we're good.
Okay. Chris, I guess I should ask you this. Anything else from your office? Daniel, do you have any issues?
I move for approval of those 4 conditions.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, thanks, Greg. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. You as well.
Mr. Duncan, in person, how are you?
Not bad, what do you?
Good. You've got a couple of things you want
Couple
to
things.
buy some things for the city.
Come before you tonight, I reached out and got quotes on stone this year, sent them out, and really only had one company that bid everything I asked. I was asking them to bid 53 stone, number 2 stone, number 9 stone, sand and riprap. And Shelby was the only company that bid everything. US Aggregate left sand out of the picture, which we do use occasionally, and I know sanitation uses to bend their pipes. So Shelby, their prices was fill sand, $9.25 a ton delivered. 53 stone, $14.50 a ton delivered. Number 2 stone, $14.50 a ton delivered. Number 9 stone, $17 a ton delivered, and riprap was $18 a ton delivered. If you want me to do US aggregates, I can do their prices.
Let me just ask you a question, Kenny.
Yeah.
In your opinion, is Shelby Materials, quote, the lowest responsible and responsive bidder to your request?
Yes,
And you're recommending that be,
I'm recommending Shelby Materials. That's who we got it off of last year. Had good luck with them. And allow the legal to draw the
finalized contract? Okay. Pleasure of the board.
I move that we find Shelby Materials is the most responsive bidder and award the contract for stone and sand supplier for 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. And let's move on to concrete.
Now we're on to concrete, yeah. I asked 3 companies to bid concrete, Sagamore Ready Mix, IMI, Shelby Materials. And I asked them to bid 4,000 strength 6-bag, 7-bag concrete, global fill. And IMI didn't turn in a bid. No, there's a lot of work going on in the county and people's really having trouble getting it. Sagamore didn't turn in a bid. Shelby Materials turned in a bid. Their 4,000 strength was $121 a yard. 7-bag was $131 a yard. NDOT flowable fill was $86 a yard, cubic yard. And fast set flowable fill was $91 cubic yard. So they were my only responsive quoter.
Have you worked with them before on concrete?
They had it this last year.
Those are good prices.
No, I was actually scared I wasn't gonna get anybody.
Yeah. Well, pleasure of the board on this one.
I move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I'm sorry, I stepped away. Who seconded the previous motion? You
Me.
moved.
He moved and I seconded.
Thank you.
And then she paused.
Lisa? Good evening.
Good evening.
You've got a lot to come before us tonight. Where do you want to start?
We can go ahead and start with the consideration for the 3 fire department job descriptions.
Okay.
I believe you received those today.
We did.
They were actually redlined, that were submitted to me this morning. So I submitted the red line, so it would make it a little bit easier for you to see the changes that they had made to the fire lieutenant, the fire captain, and the fire battalion chief job descriptions.
Generically, what's the reason for this? Or would you maybe ask the
They
chief?
were cleaning up the job descriptions. So
These are not substantive wholesale changes, is that correct?
No,
No.
the major change is from an acting, taking out the acting language to merit language, since we had to change the merit fire merit commission.
Any objections to doing all 3 of these, the fire battalion, fire lieutenant, and fire captain in the same breath? Are there any questions for Lisa, or if you have the luxury of having the chief here, questions of him as well? If not, is there a motion to approve these 3 amended job descriptions?
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
the next one will be for CDS. It is an interim senior planner position, which is new to the salary ordinance for 2022. We are have received approval to be able to have an interim senior planner, so that way they can learn the position of the senior planner. He's pending retirement coming up, I believe, in April. So we added an interim senior planner job description to fit
the position of the salary ordinance.
Questions for Lisa on this, or Daniel, or maybe the deputy mayor, whoever might want to field those?
I move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. One more.
The last one is for part-time receptionists and code enforcement. The only change to that job description is who the part-time receptionist will report to, which will be the deputy mayor instead of the code enforcement officer.
Any questions for Lisa or the deputy mayor? And then I'll move for approval of the amended part-time receptionist and code enforcement job description.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lisa. Have a good evening.
You also.
Chief Hoggett.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first item that I have to come before you tonight is a consideration contract for ambulance provision for the city of Greenwood. And that contract is with Seals Ambulance. It is very similar to the existing contract that we've had over the past 4 years, I believe it is. The only real change to the contract is we plan to add 12 hours to one of the trucks. That's only a 12-hour truck now to make it a 24-hour truck. So we have 3 24-hour ambulances within our fire stations for that service.
Questions for the chief?
So it's been working out well for you, their services.
Yes,
You just need more of it.
yes.
I'll
We
move-
oftentimes use mutual aid from other either fire departments or Indianapolis EMS for ambulance transport. So, and this, again, I've told you before, this year's been busy. So we needed more of those ambulances on the road. Over the weekend, we passed 8,000 runs for the year.
Wow. I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. What else do we
The
have?
second item that I have before you tonight is part of the house cleaning that we were doing with our general orders and operational guidelines that the former resolution that you passed with the job description, that was part of this project. And we went through all of our general orders and operational guidelines and looked at them. A lot of them were grammatical things as far as changing words from fire merit board to fire merit commission. So there were some of those. Others were operational changes that we may have had that needed to be written down and corrected within the general orders and operational guidelines. So you can see there in your exhibit A for resolution 2114, there are a number of pages, 79 pages of those more or less housekeeping things or things that we actually took out of the general orders because now it's in part of the Fire Merit Commission rules and regulations.
Questions for the chief? If not, I will move for approval of resolution 21-14 as presented.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief. Chief Fillmore, there you are. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us what's going on.
I come before you tonight. We are looking for approval to enter into another 5-year contract with Axon. That involves our body cameras, the storage, and also the tasers that the officers are carrying.
Has it been 5 years since we've done this?
Yes.
Wow, that's seems just like yesterday we started talking about this. What are the significant changes or expense increases, Chief?
I mean, it's still unlimited storage, license agreements for each officer. We currently have over 15 terabytes of video uploaded that continues to go up. This contract will keep that unlimited storage. The replacement of the cameras or the power packs, if they get damaged. It provides with all the new latest generation of the taser control device for the officers. This also includes some new technologies they're wrapping into their packages. One is an automatic tagging program that interfaces daily with our report management system. So if an officer does forget to manually tag a video with a case number or retention category, if it sees they've uploaded video from that time, and the report management system will automatically do that. And then it also comes with what they call a signal. We have signal for our tasers now, so that if a taser is taken off safety, it activates every camera within so many feet. That will also then come with signal for the patrol cars, so the cameras will automatically come on when the lights come on the patrol car, as well as signal for your firearms. So it's a device that will mount on the inside, back of their holsters, that will also automatically engage any camera within so many feet if the gun is drawn from the holster.
High tech, yeah. Further questions for the chief? Chief, is it with this, assuming we approve this, is it for your signature or Chief Ison's or you want?
Chief Ice.
I would move that we approve the request and authorize the chief of police to sign.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Have a good evening. Be safe. Next on our agenda is Joe Feltman from Tom Wood Group, stormwater violation issue.
Hello, this is Joe Feltman. And I believe also on the line should be Jim Barnes from Roger Ward Engineering. Jim, are you there as well?
Yes.
Okay. So Jim has come up with, and we filed a lot of paperwork. He can speak better to that, but to get a solution to this taken care of so these fines will go away. We'd hope to have the solution figured out and approved before now, but Jim, could you kind of explain?
Sure. Yeah, it has taken a little while. It was a tricky request, but in order to restore storage that was lost on this parking lot, we had a couple iterations of design until we came to what we believe is in the interest of all parties, and it's not cost prohibitive. And so we've completed the design, drainage reporting, and administrative applications and submitted to planning. And it's my understanding that's going to be routed to Commonwealth engineers for review. And we're waiting to hear back. That's so it's out of our hands at this point.
What if, I understand that we've been talking about this for several months. Been before us for, which I think now is the third time. And we initiated the first warning complaint because you were red tagged while the work was still going on, and you nevertheless went ahead and completed it. And that caused us some consternation, as you can imagine. And then we issued a fine. And then we agreed to suspend that fine for a period of time while you worked on this. And it came back to us at the end of that 3-month period, and nothing had been done. So the last meeting we addressed this, we reinstituted that fine. And I think that's where you're at now, is trying to appeal that fine. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I hired Roger Ward Engineering the day after our last meeting. And they've been working on it since then, trying to figure out the best way to get all this through. So I guess I'm not sure what else I can do. I understand it takes a while to get up through all the paperwork and whatnot.
Well, I appreciate that, but I understand, I mean, the first one, 3 months after we granted you that suspension, nothing was done. So, Daniel, they said they've been talking with your office. Where does it stand now?
So we received the packet, their filing of their plan and application last week. So it has been in process into our CityWorks tracking system, like all other permit documents. I'd have to double check if Commonwealth's been notified of the information.
What to be, and so we don't have anything concrete yet. You guys are just still trying to work something out.
Well, they provided their, I guess essentially their recommended plan, their solution, their layout.
But that hasn't been resolved with the city
Correct.
accepting it.
The review time has just started, just begun.
So that your procedure is you send it out to outside engineering review. Outside engineering review will check their calculations, drainage, see if it meets our ordinance.
Correct. There's an initial 2-week period that they'll review it, city staff can review it, and then respond back to the commission.
And then is there any further approval process after that?
Depending upon if there's any revisions that need to be made, how significant or not, those may be, it could go back and forth.
But it's administrative approval.
Correct.
No drainage board or this board to approve those plans.
Unless it becomes through the review or through the discussions, that something like that becomes warranted.
Well, I guess that's good to know, but what we're here for tonight, I believe, is a request for the waiver of the fine on this. And given the lapse of time that has occurred on this and the procedural history, I'm going to move that we deny that waiver request.
Second.
Further discussion?
If I could interject, I have invoices from Roger Ward with all the steps they've been taking for the past 3 months. I mean, because they bill me for each thing they've done, obviously. So it's not like we've been sitting on our hands.
Well, that may be, but it hasn't been done with the city. So, Mr. Deputy Mayor, do you have some insight that you want to share with us?
Well, not really inside. I just have a question, Chairman McLaughlin, Deputy Mayor. You know, I go back to the original time, I think actually before they started the paving process, and stormwater directors here, they were, I think, red flag, told to stop, and they went ahead. The $1 million question is, why didn't that happen? Why did somebody proceed on to do what they did, and then want to come back later and ask for forgiveness instead of permission from the Tom Lee Group?
And I think that was the impetus for my motion. Yes, go ahead.
Right, and that's what we talked about at the last Zoom meeting we did, and that we had to make a decision. The truck was there was asphalt on the truck. We had to make a decision on what to do, and obviously I made the wrong decision, but talking to the people doing the paving, they didn't think it was a detention area, and they thought I could file and get it taken care of, and I took their advice, and I took bad advice.
Sounds like maybe you did. Let's talk about that. Further discussion on the pending motion. Hearing none, is all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Good luck in getting it progressed and finalized and moving this matter forward.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Dan Wallace, Jacobs Group General Contractors, the learning experience. Dan, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Tell us what we're doing here.
Well, I've been in the process of submitting a number of documents. We are, trying to get all things put together for our building permit. We've got, of course, the 3 things under the heading there: the acceptance of performance guarantees, acceptance of execution of inspection and testing agreement, and acceptance and execution of public sidewalk easement. I understand it that you have received those, and we had been invited to this meeting to discuss what has been decided.
Daniel, we've got a memo from Paul Peony with respect to this, with just a couple of minor conditions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. We've already reviewed the memo. Is there a motion that anyone would like to make with respect to this matter?
So moved, subject to those conditions in the report.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Good evening. Lori Combs is next with us, Harley Davidson and US Highway 31. Lori, are you with us?
Yes,
Good evening.
good evening.
Tell us what we're doing.
I'm gonna let my husband talk.
Okay.
Well, basically, we're just trying to get our performance bonds signed off,
Okay.
full job.
We've got a memo from Paul Peony with respect to this. Daniel, anything out of the ordinary here?
No, there's not, no conditions.
I'd move for approval.
Second.
Second, we keep further discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lori, you didn't need your husband to talk at all.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Next is Cheyenne Hoffa for Fieldstone Subdivision, Section 1. Ms. Hoffa, are you with us? Ms. Hoffa? Well, Daniel, see if you can tell us what's going on here. Doesn't seem to be too anything out of the ordinary.
No, this is basically limited to the erosion control there on the Fieldstone subdivision section 1 site. So it's just accepting the erosion control, accepting the maintenance bond, and then also releasing the performance bond.
I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Heck, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Joe. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm just here representing the Peterson Group for the Shear Shul spec building off of Graham Road at Greenpoint Logistics Center. Block A, just seeking the acceptance of the performance guarantees, acceptance of the inspection agreement, and execution of the final replat to make this lot. And authorize the mayor to sign the O&M manual to water quality for this proposed construction.
And the only proposed condition we have is we received that revised replat and review and approval by the engineering and planning division, correct, Daniel?
Yeah, we have received it, but we still need time to review it.
Approve. Okay. Questions for Mr. Heck? Is there a motion?
I move we approve, subject to those conditions.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Jeff. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys. You too. Thanks.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address us? Okay, I'll move on to Mr. Hodson with the IDA compliance plan status update.
We're current on all reports and all is well with IDA.
Very good. Status task.
First up is 2 streetlight agreements. The first is with the Johnson County REMC for the retreat section 1.
This is just one pole, right?
Correct.
Questions for Sam? Not all move for approval. Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The second was with Duke Energy for 780 Downing Drive.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Only other thing I have is the TAPS legal services agreement. This is the flat fee agreement. It's for the same $2,000 a month as it was last year.
And this is just extending it from December 31, 21 to 22. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'll move for approval of that.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Daniel.
Good evening. We have a handful of items here. The first is the Kitty Academy at the Wakefield Commercial Subdivision. This is the northwest corner of Smith Valley Road in Morgantown. The motion would be to authorize city staff to prepare a single parcel sewer service agreement for this project.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Subject to that motion.
Subject to the
Condition.
condition.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, this is kind of a final change order for 2020 community crossing matching grant project. This was the full depth reconstruction project over in the Brady Meadows area. Bottom line is it came in over $11,000 under budget. And there is a sentence here in the memo that says a time extension there was not a time extension on construction. It's merely from when the time the work was completed until today that this final change order will actually, we're recommending the approval of it. So that I just wanted to clarify that. That would be the motion to authorize and approve this change order number 1, final change order for this project, and for the mayor to sign. Authorize the mayor to sign the change order on the board.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next one, very similar. This was for our 2021 annual paving project. This is the final change order, reconciling the final amount for this project. Similarly, it had an 82-day time extension. Again, the work was completed back in September, so it's just the time between then and today. That project actually came in over $444,000 under budget, almost 24% of the original contract amount. So our motion is to authorize change order number 1, final for this project, and to authorize the mayor to sign change order form on the board's behalf.
So moved.
Not complaining at all. Why such a large?
No, that was a good question. What we have to do for the community crossings project, since it's a 50-50 split, NDOT funding and local funds, we have to anticipate or try to anticipate any unknown site conditions, specifically the soil conditions. So we assume that a significant portion of the project will require undercuts due to poor soils. And as it turned out, that project, I'm sorry, I got my projects confused. That's not the community crossings project. This is all 100% city funded. We take the same approach of estimating, anticipating those poor soil conditions. And as it turns out, it was much less. That was actually neat.
Good news. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next is President South Business Center, Section 5, Block 7. This is simply requesting the board to authorize the mayor or deputy mayor to sign on the board's behalf the O&M manual for water quality for this project.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, here for Academy Street. A number of months ago, the board authorized the city staff to enter an agreement with NDOT regarding the 2021 Railroad Grade Crossing Fund program. This is specifically for Academy Street, which was closed as a crossing, and closed as an at-grade crossing as part of a recent NDOT and Johnson County City of Greenwood joint project. So we were awarded a grant with this Railroad Grade Crossing Fund for $35,000 for the purpose of making a permanent closure. There's just some temporary barricades out there right now. We want to install more permanent elements out there. And so the motion would be to authorize staff to prepare bid specifications and advertise this project.
I've noticed those temporary barriers there, they need to be permanent, better and fixed.
motion?
That's a motion. I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then the last item is for Lions Park residential subdivision up on Fry Road. This is simply a request to authorize the mayor or deputy mayor to sign on the board's behalf the sanitary sewer service special agreement. Once it's reviewed and approved by city legal and sanitation field and the engineering division for this project.
Where's that located?
Friday.
It's west of the fire station.
It is.
Okay.
Friday.
Complicated project.
Yes.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dan.
I noticed on Worsville Road, the new bridge that was put in was holding water yesterday. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not.
We have,
On the westbound, on the far northern.
yep, the northern lane there, we're working with the contractor to figure out what the solutions, how we can fix them.
Nice to have that open.
Sure is.
Mr. Wright, nothing from you. Before you do your deed, are we confirmed on 2022 meeting dates? Did we do that?
I believe that you did it at the last meeting.
Okay, I just couldn't remember. And I just wanted to make sure of that. Okay.
I'll move for approval of the claims.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Well, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all at 6:11 p.m.
Come here, please.